Hello, welcome. We're going to be talking about every book that I have acquired in 2023. There are a couple of reasons why this video is coming to you today. I want to do a video like this every quarter where I talk about the books that I have bought and acquired in the past 3 months. I really like it when other people are transparent about how much they're spending. It helps me to kind of check myself. I love Hannah Louise Poston's channel. She's a self-proclaimed lover of beautiful things, and she makes these really amazing videos about beauty products like clothing and makeup. She talks about her no-buy year and also her relationship to consumerism as a whole. On her YouTube channel, she does a really great job about talking about what things she bought specifically for her channel, what things she spent her own money on, whether or not this item would be a good buy for her followers. I just really love the way that she does that. And so I'm trying to bring a little bit of that into the booktube community as well, because I know that we are all lovers of books and we want to celebrate that. And I love purchasing books. It is what I spend the majority of my discretionary income on. I'm also in a phase of life where I don't have unlimited funds to be spending on books, and I've gone a little overboard in the past year. I spent way too much money on books last year, and a lot of it was because I was just so excited to join this community and read a bunch of things, and I wanted to have those pretty bookshelves, which I am deliberately not sitting in front of today. They're over in the office. It's where I film a lot of my videos. I wanted to use this video to remind myself that I don't need that many books in order to make videos. Also, this video is coming to you today and not in a couple of weeks, because the 24-hour readathon video that I promised you would be coming today is taking a really long time to edit, and I've got a lot of things going on in life right now. So I realized this morning that there is no way that I can get that video done before tomorrow. So we're pivoting. I'm going to move some things around. This video is going to come to you early, and I feel comfortable doing that because I am not buying any books in the month of March. So this will be my quarter 1 book haul because I'm not buying anything else in March. We're going to go through all the books. We're going to do some stats. I'm going to tell you whether or not I regret buying any of these, and we're going to chat about book consumerism a little bit. Okay, so the first purchase that is on every single month is Scribd. I use Scribd for all of my audiobook reading. I read a ton of books on audio, and so I feel like this is a good investment, but I wanted to make sure that I was actually getting the most out of this membership. So that membership costs $12.84 a month. Some books I'm reading partly on audio, either from the library or from Scribd, and also have physically. So if the numbers aren't adding up, that's why there's a little bit of double counting in here. In the past 3 months, I think I read about 19 books on Scribd. So I'm very happy with that. If I'm reading more than 2 or 3 books on Scribd a month, I'm happy with spending that money. And then in January, I did get a credit from Libro FM. That is my other way that I get audiobooks. It supports my local independent bookstore, which I feel really good about. It's an Audible alternative. It's the same cost as Audible is, but I ended up canceling the subscription after January because I didn't have an audiobook that I needed in February, so I wanted to cancel that membership so that I wasn't just racking up credits that I wasn't planning on spending. But in January, I did get a credit and I used it to listen to Spare on audio. I do regret that purchase. Before I got it on Libro FM, I tried to reserve it from my library, and the library said that it would be multiple months before I could get my hands on a copy. So I went ahead and bought it on Libro FM. But after the library saw how much demand there was for this book, they acquired a lot more copies, and that book became available while I was still reading it on Libro FM. So I do wish I would have waited and just used my library. But I thought I was going to make a video about that book. I wanted to be part of the conversation, so I wanted to read it early. That didn't end up even happening. I didn't even make a video about that book, so I am glad that I read the book, just wish I had gone about it in a different way. The books that I bought in January for myself were The Tea Dragon Festival. This is the sequel to The Tea Dragon Society. I read this in a vlog. I bought it specifically for that vlog. Loved it. Really glad that I bought it and that I have it on my shelves. I will say that I am waiting for the paperback version of the 3rd book to be released before I get that one. I really love this series, but the giant hardcovers are really expensive and I can't afford them, so I am waiting to read the 3rd one until it comes out in this lovely little paperback. Also in that order, I bought this duology. I read this at the end of last year. I'm going to be rereading it this year because this duology is now one of my favorite things I have ever read. You will see it in my top 10 books of the year this year. I'm almost almost certain. The only reason why it wasn't in my top 10 books of the year last year was because I had already filmed it when I read these during the Christmas time. These three I bought from Amazon because I had a gift card from a coworker, and so all three of these ended up only being $24.62. The last two books I acquired in February were free. I'm a part of an organization. They had extra budget at the end of the year and they offered to send us some free books, and I said yes please. So I was able to get House of Hunger from that. I'm really excited to read this book, and it's a $30 book, so I'm really happy that I was able to get it for free. I also did a little free library video, which I either filmed at the end of January, at the beginning of February, so this book kind of fits in between that, but I picked up this book from the little free libraries. I also picked up 84 Charing Cross Road and a silly little book of poems, but this is the only like actual full-length novel that I picked up completely free. So this is everything that I acquired in January. Total spent in January is $53.54. February was rough. The majority of this stack is from February, and also a lot of these I acquired in February. February is my birthday month, and I went a little crazy, both buying books for myself and I also received a lot of books as gifts. So let's start with everything that I bought myself. From my local independent bookstore, I purchased Grady Hendrix's new book, How to Sell a Haunted House, and also The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I'm really happy that I bought this. I did start reading it. The main character is dealing with the death of her parents and clearing out their house and going through the 5 stages of grief, and I could not handle that at the moment that I tried to read it. I will be picking this back up soon. I don't regret paying full price for this. I do regret buying this book. This was before I did the cozy fantasy video, and I was trying to read as much as I could. I fell in love with this genre and I knew that I wanted to do a video on it, so I was just trying to pick up everything that people liked, and I know a lot of people love this book. I've only read the first chapter and I had to put it down. I made kind of a rash decision in the bookstore. I was between this and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies is a $30 hardcover book. This was only $19, and so I picked this one, even though I wanted to read the other book more, and I regret doing that because I eventually also bought Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I just also bought this book that I was interested in, but not enough for me to purchase it full price. I am trying this year to have a rule where I only buy books physically full price if I think they're going to be 4 or 5 stars. If I think that they might work for me, might not, I want to get them from my library and try them out there, at least read a couple of chapters from the library before I determine if I want to go and spend money on this book. And I wish I would have done that with this because I don't know if the writing style is going to work for me. So if you've read this and loved this, please tell me why in the comments. Hype me up so that I can get back into it and read it. Both of these together were $50.40. Then I bought myself a little birthday present on Amazon. This is an independently published book. You can only buy it on Amazon. You'll see a couple of those. I try not to buy books on Amazon as much as I can, but sometimes it happens, sometimes it's not available anywhere else. So that was the case with this book. I'm halfway through reading this and I did DNF it, but I don't regret buying this book because I wasn't able to get it from my library. It wasn't on Scribd. It doesn't have an audiobook. Yes, I could have bought the Kindle version of this and spent less money. I think I will eventually return to this book. This is another cozy fantasy. It's a Lovecraftian cozy fantasy. But again, I just don't think the writing style was for me. Book of Zog was $13.93. These two also came from Amazon. This is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea and A Pirate's Life for Tea. I bought this on release day. I was so excited because I loved the first book so much. The first one was $14.47 and the second one was $17.15. I love this series so much. It's one of my favorite cozy fantasies. I follow the author on TikTok. I just really love this world and her mind. Really happy to have these on my shelves. I will say, before I purchased the physical copy of this, because I had learned my lesson with Book of Zog, the Kindle book was essentially free because it had some digital credits on Amazon. So I tried out the Kindle version. I read 50, 100 pages before I decided that I wanted the physical book because I really wanted to have these on my shelves. That's a new tactic that I may be using in the future. And then I had my birthday weekend, which I vlogged. I'll link that if you want to see that. I went to Barnes & Noble with a budget of $100 just to have a birthday day and have a good time. I budgeted for that and I'm really happy with everything that I bought there. So at Barnes & Noble, I spent $96.48 and I got 5 books. One of them I had already read. It is A Network Effect by Martha Wells. This is part of the Murderbot Diaries series. I really, really love this series and I just want to pick up all of them when I can find them. The rest are novellas. This is the only full-length novel. This one is one of my favorites. So this one and book 2 are my 2 favorites, which is why I was comfortable paying full price. For the rest of them, I'm going to be waiting until I can find them on sale. Or secondhand. Would love to find those secondhand as well. This is where I got Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I wish I had just bought this from the independent bookstore when I was deciding between this and The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, but I did eventually pick it up. Then I got one of my most anticipated books of the year. I had not read from this author before, so I did want to go into the bookstore and read a couple pages of this physically before deciding if I wanted to pay a full price for it. So I went into Barnes & Noble and I read the first chapter of this and loved it. So I picked it up and I've already read this. You'll hear my thoughts on this next week in that 24-hour readathon video. I've been really getting into sci-fi recently. This was on sale at Barnes & Noble and I've been just hearing amazing things about this series as a whole. I believe the most recent book was just nominated for the Nebula Award as well. So really excited to pick up this series and kind of dive into a more intense sci-fi. Since I've been loving cozy sci-fi, I want to see if this genre is for me. And of course, every time I go to a bookstore, I have to see if they have T. Kingfisher. This is my favorite author of all time. I will always buy her books whenever I find them. I'm currently reading this and loving it. And then the last book that I bought myself in February was The Stone Sky. This is the third book in the 5th season trilogy. I'm currently reading the second book. Usually I don't let myself buy an entire series if I haven't read the book previous. I won't buy like book 4 until I've read book 3. I want to only buy one at a time. The cliffhangers at the end of the books I can't handle. I need to read the next book immediately. So last time, thankfully I was able to get it from the library and read it on my Kindle and then go the next day to the store to get the next book. But I wanted to, I knew that I was getting to the end of the Obelisk Gate and I wanted this on deck for when that happened. This is everything that I bought myself in February. It's a lot of books. I do not typically buy this many books in a month. That's what happened in February. My lovely mother also asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I sent her a big list of books and said I would love, you know, 1 or 2 of these. She bought me the whole list, which I was not expecting and I'm incredibly thankful for, so thank you to my mother for the incredible gift. This is everything that my mother gifted me. A lot of this is cozy fantasy, cozy sci-fi, some T. Kingfisher that I have already read, some T. Kingfisher that I haven't read yet. We have some cozy sci-fi, cozy fantasy, magical realism type things that have been on my TBR for a really long time. A couple of sequels to cozy fantasy, cozy sci-fi series that I have been loving, some horror, and some literary fiction. I want to keep this video on the shorter side, but I did do a full haul where I walked you through all of the synopses of the books in my birthday vlog, which I'll link. That's February, and then in March, the only book that I am planning to purchase is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. I don't actually know how much this cost because it was a book of the month book and I had already paid for this a few months ago. I will be charged at the end of this month for a credit in the future. The way the book of the month works is kind of strange, but anyways, this was around $16, $17. I have been skipping my book of the month recently because I just wasn't interested in any of the titles enough to pay full price for them. But in this situation, it was actually cheaper for me to get this from book of the month. It's a $32 hardcover and I was able to get it for about half of that price from book of the month. I did get the audiobook from my library and tried out the first couple of chapters before I purchased this. Hey, sweetie. Webster is joining us. Hi, sweetheart. Since I hadn't read from this author before, I tried a couple chapters of the audiobook from the library before I grabbed the physical copy. Something that I found really helpful with new releases, getting them from your library, I'll set little notifications on my phone for the release days for things that I'm interested in, and then I'll go reserve them from the library immediately on release day because usually the library will acquire them on release day, and so that way I can be one of the first people in line. That can help to have a shorter wait for things that are really popular, but sometimes a bunch of people beat me to it and it's several months until you can get the audiobook from your library. If that had been the case and I wasn't able to get this from the library, I probably would have waited to see what other people were saying about it before I chose to go buy this book. Okay, so that is everything. Let's talk about the numbers. Excluding this, because I don't know how much this was, but it's about $16. I spent in the first 3 months of the year $290.94 on books. That's about $100 a month. That is a lot of money to be spending on books. Again, this quarter did contain my birthday month, and so hopefully this will be an anomaly for the rest of the year. I really don't think I want to be spending this much on books for the rest of the year. I would like to keep my book buying budget to $50 a month. Books are expensive. If you're buying a full price hardcover book, that can be $30. 4 books can put you over $100, and I typically read anywhere from 10 to 20 books in a month. A lot of those I'm getting from my library or from Scribd, but I do read a lot physically as well, and so it's really easy to go over budget. So that's why I want to do videos like this where I can be transparent about how much I'm spending on books. hopefully me seeing this data visually as well as my regular budgeting that I do is gonna help me to think about this when I'm, you know, driving past the bookstore wondering if I should stop by. Okay, let's also talk about how many of the books I have read so far. This quarter, I bought 15 books myself. I have already read 8 of those books. 4 of them are still on my TBR. 1 of them I DNF'd, and 2 of them I am currently reading. Of the books that I was gifted, I have read 3, and 7 of them are on my TBR. So that's a total of 25 books that I acquired in this quarter. As of today, March 11th, I have read 43 books this year. This is something that I want to be tracking as well. I want to know how long things are staying on my TBR for, because I'm hoping that that will help me to be more selective about the books that I choose to pay full price for. If I am always going out and buying these books on release day, spending $30 on a book, if I don't end up reading them until 6 months, a year later, when the paperback version has come out, or I can probably get them on sale, that's really great data for me to have. So far, it looks like I am pretty much reading everything right away as I acquire it, so stay tuned to see if that trend continues in the future. I do also want to mention that only 7 of the books were hardcovers out of all 25 books that we discussed today. Typically, my favorite way to read physically is with a big floppy paperback, so that's what I tend to buy. If I have the choice, I'm always going for the paperback. Sometimes when I'm choosing between books in a bookstore, I'll be much more likely to pick something up if it's a paperback. The paperbacks are cheaper, they're the way that I want to read anyways, so that's why so few of these are hardcovers. But that's just my personal preference. I just want to have that piece of data for myself as well. Hopefully these videos will get more interesting as we have more data to look at and kind of compare quarter to quarter. So let me know if this is useful or helpful. I would love to chat in the comments about consumerism and booktube and whether or not things like this are helpful. Is this something that you're thinking about? I would love to know. So far for the first quarter and having my birthday month in here, I'm feeling okay about this. Some goals for quarter 2, I would love to spend $50 or less a month on books and utilize my library more. So far this year, I have read, I think, about 14 books from the library, and I would love to increase that number. So I'm now doing monthly TBRs, and I think that's really gonna help with utilizing my library more since I know what I'm gonna be reading in that month. I can keep track of the holds and kind of mark things to be read in the month so that I'm not letting holds lapse before I've had a chance to get to the book if I forget it's there. That's it for me today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I'm so happy to have this little community on the internet. Next week, I promise I will have that 24-hour readathon done. I'm sorry it's not done today. Just a lot of things going on that I don't have control over. I post every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, so I will see you next week. Happy reading. Bye.